What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Grow with Breeze. Today, we're going to be doing a comparison between Wix and Weebly. In this video, I'm going to be going over a lot of their key differences to help you better decide which platform is right for you. If you want to learn more about each individual website platform, be sure to check out our review and our tutorial of the platforms on the channel. And if at any time you decide you have made your decision and want to get started with one of them, we have included our affiliate links to both Wix and Weebly in the video description. And those are going to take you right to their respective sites where you can see the latest info on pricing, deals, and promotions. That being said, let's get into it. So on one hand, Wix is really known for its customizability and all the freedom it provides you when you're designing your site. Wix has so many different tools, over 500 themes, and a lot of different apps you can use when you're developing your website. The drawback to all of this is it can get kind of chaotic and confusing, especially for beginners. And even though you have a ton of freedom and it's pretty much the only site out there where you can start from complete scratch, just a straight up blank page and make something out of it, it also means there's going to be a lot more room for error. So if you don't really know what you're doing, then you could mess something up a little bit easier. And because of all of the options available, it can get a little bit overwhelming when you don't know exactly what you're looking for. Now, Weebly, on the other hand, isn't quite as customizable, but it makes up for this by being extremely easy to use. In fact, it's probably the easiest out of the top three as far as ease of use goes. I would say Squarespace is similarly easy to use, but with Weebly, there's really not even anything to figure out. This is Weebly's editor. When you're adding something to the page, all you need to do is drag and drop. It's really that simple. Whereas with Wix, in order to add something, you have all these different buttons. For example, if you want to add a button, you're going to hit add, go to the button section, and choose from a bunch of different buttons available. Now, in some situations, if you have a specific idea in mind, or if you just like to have a bunch of options, then this could be a positive thing. But personally, I prefer Weebly's interface, where it's just really straightforward. There's mostly just one way to do things, and it's a lot less chaotic, whereas the options with Wix are nice, but they can get a little overwhelming. And if you're just trying to set up a simple website for a simple purpose, then it could get to be a little too much. But on the other hand, if you do have more complex needs, if you want things to be a little bit more detailed, then Wix is going to come in handy for that. The other thing about Wix that sets it apart from other website building platforms out there is how you can move objects. So for example, let's say we want to move this Book Now button to the other side of the screen. All you need to do is just go like this. Whereas with Weebly, you can't do that. If you try to move something, it's not going to work out like that. What you have to do is add what's called a spacer to the button box, and then that's going to move it all the way over to the other side. Now, this might seem inconvenient to some people. You might not like this a whole lot, and in that case, Wix would be a better option for you. But I personally prefer the system that Weebly has. Being a grid system, there's so much less room for error, whereas if you put a button in the wrong spot on Wix, then it's gonna just look bad, and sometimes it's hard to get things aligned properly. But with Weebly, they really went out of their way to make it more foolproof. And this grid system not only makes things easier to manage in the desktop view, but it also makes optimizing a website for mobile view even better. And you have to remember, a large majority of anyone who's going to be visiting your website is probably going to be doing it on a mobile device. So it's really important to be sure that you have it set up to look good on a mobile device too. Now, the way you do it is really similar between these two platforms. You're gonna hit this icon up here, hit mobile view, and then there we go. It looks really good already without me really doing anything to it. To do it on Wix, it is really similar. You're gonna go up to the top, hit mobile view, and then it's gonna change over. Now, another difference between these two platforms I wanted to point out is that you can't edit a website in mobile view on Weebly, whereas on Wix, you can. And that makes things a little bit easier because it's better to be able to fix tiny mistakes in the mobile view itself as opposed to Weebly's way where you actually have to go back to the desktop view and edit everything in here, just kind of guessing how it's gonna look in the mobile view. But with Wix, sure, you may be able to edit things directly in the mobile view on Wix, but the drawback is things don't really look that similar in mobile view as they do in desktop view. I'm gonna show you an example. So we're going back to desktop view now. I'm gonna change the order of these objects right here. So I'm gonna put the success at the top like this. And now we're gonna go back to mobile view. And as you can see, it doesn't really change in mobile view. So my point is, if you want your mobile view to look a certain way, then you're probably gonna have to basically edit them independently from each other, which can be a little inconvenient. But again, the flip side to this is, if you want your mobile view to look a little bit different from your desktop view, then you can do this. And again, it goes back to Wix being so much more customizable, having so much more freedom. Whereas with Weebly, sure, you might not have as much freedom, but that's also made up for with a bigger safety net. So another big difference between Wix and Weebly, outside the editor itself, is how the themes work. So Wix has literally hundreds of themes, whereas Weebly only has about 70. Now, this might sound like a huge difference in favor of Wix, but there are some advantages to the way things are set up with Wix. First of all, the quality of these themes are pretty inconsistent. Some of the themes look really nice, but a ton of them also look really ugly and outdated to the point where I'm not sure anyone would actually want to use them for a website. Weebly, on the other hand, even though there are only 70 themes, that's still plenty of different themes for the average user to choose from. Not only that, but these themes are actually really high quality and really consistent. So in that regard, it does really work out. The other difference, one thing I really don't like about Wix, is that once you choose a theme, you can't change it. You're pretty much stuck with that. So you have to be completely sure that whatever theme you're choosing is the one that's gonna work out for you, because you're not gonna be able to go back on it once you've actually chosen it. In contrast to that, Weebly does allow you to change your theme even after you've started editing your website. So it is a little bit more forgiving if you change your mind about how you want your site to be set up. So now let's talk a little bit about the e-commerce features. If you're setting up an online store, there can be some advantages to using Wix, but most of the advantages are gonna go to Weebly. So Weebly is owned by Square, which is a payment processing service. So as you would expect, they do have a lot of emphasis on making things easy with e-commerce. They do have a really good amount of features, and the features are pretty sophisticated as well. For example, abandoned shopping cart emails. That's if a customer on your website puts something in their cart but doesn't actually check out. You can send them an automated email reminding them. There are also lots of other different functions like gift cards, customer accounts, and all sorts of things. Does have a lot of similar features as well, but they're first of all not quite as sophisticated, and second of all, a little bit confusing to use. Similar to the themes, Wix has literally hundreds of different apps you can use, but it's not as smooth or easy to use. Now, what Wix does have that Weebly doesn't is a little bit in the higher price bracket. Wix actually has an enterprise plan where you can have an online store set up and managed for you. Now, this starts at, I think, $500 a month. Most likely more, because you can't really just buy it. You actually have to schedule a call with a Wix representative so they can better understand your needs. Now, this is really good for big businesses that have huge volumes or a big budget. And if this describes you, this is something you may want to consider. But if it doesn't, if you're just starting out and you're planning on doing everything yourself, then Weebly might be a better option for you, because when it comes to e-commerce, it's quite a bit more efficient and a lot easier to use as well. At the end of the day, Wix and Weebly are two of the best website building platforms out there right now, and they both have their own unique set of features and advantages that can really improve your experience while developing your website, but it really depends more on your needs and preferences. If you have a large budget and want to use a little bit of assistance and have more things done for you, or if you want the freedom to create your website from absolute scratch and design it exactly how you want, if you have a clear vision down to the last little detail and want a lot of freedom to customize things as you see fit, then Wix is going to be probably the best option for you. But if you don't have a lot of time or energy or resources to develop your website, if you want to do it more yourself, but you also want to be able to just jump into it, learn as you go, and not have to worry about making mistakes, if you are really doing e-commerce stuff, but you're not at the level where you can use a larger scale and get all that professional help, then I think Weebly is going to be a better option for you. But at the end of the day, both sites do have their advantages and disadvantages, and I do encourage you to watch the reviews and tutorials of the sites on the channel to get a better sense of how each one works and what they're all really about. If you're ready to get started with either Wix or Weebly, again, we do have our affiliate link to the sites in the video description, where you can see all the latest info on pricing, deals, and promotions. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you found it helpful as well. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in the next Grow with Breeze video.